Yo, what is up, everybody? And today we're going to be going over the 1.3.18 patch notes for the First Descendant. Coming today, as is it is Thursday, February 5th, and these patch notes actually dropped today, so we are really early. We were just late. I was just sitting right here, chilling, playing the game, and then that's when I saw a notification popping through, and they had the patch notes right here. We're gonna go ahead and dabble into these patch notes right here today. If you guys want to see more content and like the content that I put out, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and do all the cool jazz. And without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. We have the newest descendant, Dia. For the ones who don't know, that is Glay's daughter. She comes with a lot, so she is now a chill descendant. I thought she was going to be a non-attribute like her mother. I was way off. So they made her into a chill descendant. Apparently, she has four different move sets, and she has some transitive modules. Her first move set is called Frozen Delight. Gains delight through glacial clash and avalanche. Dia's skill power increases proportionally to the amount of delight. Skill critical hit rate increases proportionally to her max HP. So it seems like Dia might be HP oriented like Glade, but I'm not totally sure. It just sounds like it even from that. For her second attack, Glacial Clash stabs forward with her spear, damaging enemies within range. Pressing and holding Glacial Clash changes the skill to Glacial Breakthrough, allowing Dia to continuously move and deal damage to enemies until the skill ends. Enemies hit by this attack are inflicted with Snowflake and White Panic effect. Striking enemies within Snowflake using a melee weapon causes them to explode and suffer damage. Enemies inflicted with White Panic suffer reduced speed. Her third attack is called Ice Wall. Using Ice Wall grants the Ice Wall effect and deals damage to enemies within range. So basically, this is like VS's third ability, but instead of just an ice path, now you have an entire ice wall. I'm not actually sure. I haven't seen any gameplay of Dia, so I am going in here as blindly as possible. So you'll be seeing my live reaction about going through these patch notes. Um, Using Ice Wall while Glacier Breakthrough is active increases movement speed. Using the skill while the ice wall is active increases skill critical hit damage and defense. That is good for a chill character. We don't get those a lot. Also recovers HP and when the ice wall in effects. Her third attack is launches an anvil forward. An anvil continuously moves forward, pulling enemies towards it. Striking the avalanche with the Glacier Clash skill triggers a chill explosion, dealing damage to enemies within range. Triggering chill explosion a certain number of times grants the frost thorn effect. For her fourth ability, it seems called Froststorm, fires a frozen spear forward. A frozen spear continuously moves forward, dealing damage. The frozen spear slows down enemies upon colliding with the enemy. And it seems like Frozen Delight is a passive. I don't know why they put it at the top instead of like the bottom, kind of like going from like, one and then four and then passive. You know what I mean? With her Transcendent module, she has a Transcendent module called Blooming Ecstasy, changing Glacial Clash to Snowflake Clash. Snowflake Clash toes collided targets and inflicted snowflake on them, changing the snowflake effect to explode immediately upon expiring. Changes Froststorm to Frost Bloom when Blooming Ecstasy is equipped, fires a frozen spear that creates Frost Bloom at an impact point. Frost Bloom increases skill power and range based on charge time. With Chillbrand, attacking an enemy with a skill has a chance to create a chill brand. Chillbrand attacks enemies while possessing Chillbrand deals additional damage based on the number of Chillbrands you have. Ice Wall is changed to Brand Surge. Using Brand Surge attaches all owned Chillbrands to the enemy, dealing continuous damage over time. Avalanche is changed to Glacial Wedge. Glacial Wedge is used to target a single enemy. Glacial Wedge increases in number of hits and damage based on charge time. So it seems like Blooming Ecstasy is going to be a mobbing Transcendent module, and Chillbrand is going to be a boss type Transcendent module, or if that goes in hand. Now, our second part of the patch note, we have a new infiltration operation called Exposed Underwater Base. The picture right here looks amazing, and I am so excited to do this infiltration operation. You can find this infiltration operation. Go to your map, world map, Axiom Plains, Exposed Underwater Base. Um, this will include just all the regular bases from our other infiltration operations, like Supermassive Receptor, and the other one, I forgot the name. But this will all include all the rewards, all of Daya's items, and new things that are inside of this new season will be with Daya in that new infiltration operation. Moving on, we have some HQ order quests that you can go and get by interacting with Eric. Eric in Albion. You have to complete the orders are divided into so the orders are divided into two into not two into standing orders and special orders, and only one quest of each type can be undertaken at a time. So with standing orders, you must complete the Sterile Land main quest. Um, with special orders, you must complete all normal difficulty quests and unlocked hard difficulty. So it says that these quests will be available. Available quests for special orders changes every 72 hours, so that means 2 days, 3 days, excuse me, and any special orders not completed within this time period are automatically canceled. Each mission can be completed up to 4 times, allowing all materials required for researching the corresponding item to be obtained as rewards. So the rewards that you'll get is basically every single gun and dog item that you'll get, not dog food, just the dog items like the stabilizer, the blueprint, and stuff like that. So if you had a hard time trying to get them in the void, no, not the void. What is that? The thing I forgot the name. Brain fart. But if you had trouble getting the dog, now you can obtain it easily. And then our next thing on the list, we have been granted 2 new weapons this season. One being we have a General Rounds SMG called the E-Buster. Its unique ability is called Entropy Overlap. When using an electric skill, grants entropy overlap to self. When entropy overlap is active, movement speed increases. While overlap is active, using a tracking projectile type skill grants entropy conversion to self and grants entropy energy rounds. While uh, entropy conversion is active, electric skill power increases. While entropy energy rounds are available, firing a firearm consumes entropy energy rounds to deal additional damage. Hits with entropy energy rounds triggers multi-hit. So most likely this weapon will be multi-hit and possibly do maybe crit damage, because normally majority of the time with crit damage type of weapons, well, no, excuse me, hit multi-hit type weapons, they are normally crit but not a lot of crit. Okay, the second weapon we have is a beam rifle. It is called Eye of the Typhoon. This like these weapons kind of remind me of like Destiny, like D1 weapons, and it's so funny because the game literally is like Destiny or Warframe, and it's it's so cool. Anyway, so the unique ability for Eye of the Typhoon: press the aim button to switch between Typhoon mode and Storm mode. Storm mode can be activated when you have at least one Typhoon energy. Typhoon mode automatically targets enemies on screen. When firing, launches attacks at each targeted enemy. Hitting enemies accumulate Typhoon energy. When Eye of the Typhoon is in Storm mode, launches a high damage attack in the aim direction while Storm mode. While in Storm mode, Typhoon energy is consumed instead of rounds. In hand, we have three new modules that has been added. One called Arcane Resonator. This is linked to Kill Chain, the trigger module. We have another one connected to Tactical Strike and Two Face to Self. So with Kill Chain, gives you an extra 15% skill power for 10 seconds while also active, lands a critical hit with a firearm on target inflicted with target strike, reduces the cooldown of skill 4 by 1 second. With tactical strike, inflicts the in when inflicting tactical target, increase the skill duration of tactical target by 14.5% and skill critical hit damage by 46%. That is a lot for 10 seconds. 10-second duration for that. Increasing the skill critical hit damage by 46%. Holy. With Two Face on granting heads applies Lucky Head to self. Lucky Head gives you an extra 44.3% of skill effect range and lowers down the skill cost by negative 7.3% for a total of 10-second duration. If you get Tails for the Two-Faced trigger module, gives you and applies skill power increase by 14.9% and gives you a 12% speed boost for 10 seconds. It says that you can acquire this in upon defeating commanders in Axiom Plains missions and infiltration operation. Your best bet to get these trigger modules, no, it this these modules is to do the new content. That means go up in there with either your friend or by yourself and have these already ready, or you can go craft them. And find the guy with the modules. I forgot his name. I've been playing this game for 3 years, and I forgot the guy's name. Three new trigger module types. One called Focus and Expansion, one called Icebreaker, and another one called Overcharge Shield. Focus and Expansion on attacking with HP absorption type skill grants focus and expansion to self. When weapon attack while focus and expansion is active, has a chance to deal damage to targets and nearby enemies. Damage and range increases or decreases based on the current HP relative to max HP. So, I'm actually curious on how to explain this. So, what I'm going to assume is that when you have this is tailored to descendants that have lots of HP, meaning Glay and probably Glay's daughter. So like I said before, Glay's daughter is probably going to be HP focused. Maybe that's just a speculation. I don't actually know. So it might be talking about that because it says damage and range increased or decreased based on the current HP relative to max HP. So basically, your Damage and range will increase based on the amount of max HP you have. Um, Icebreaker, when attacking frost-bitten enemies with a skill weapon type, deals damage to a target and nearby enemies and grants Icebreaker to self. Damage increased proportionally to the number of Icebreaker stats. So the more frostbite you have on a particular enemy or multiple, the more the damage increases proportionally. Overcharge, overcharge shield. When attacking enemies with a clash type skill, grants energy transfer to self when energy transfer is at max stacks. Using a charge type skill changes it to overcharge shield. Overcharge shield consumes energy shield for its duration to increase the skill effect. It just seems like a giant ecosystem type of module. I'm not even gonna lie. Again, you can go obtain these doing the new infiltration operation. Um, and what does they say? Anxian planes as well. Have some descendant rebalancing slash improvements. Eugen got a 10% buff on his stop overreacting passive default passive skill. Changed the max HP increase from 120 to 130. Increased the duration for his stop overreacting skill set. From 10 seconds to 30 seconds, and modified the sound for the skill combat protocol. Enzo also got a nerf from he got a nerf with his passive skill firing specialist and compressed bullet. Also applies to the round consumed due to the melee weapons. His prep effect trigger is has prep effect requires to trigger fire specialist from 3 to 2, so I'm going to assume that it only takes 3 bullets or something like that. Again, I don't use Eugen, so I apologize for the poor explanation. Moving on to Kyle, they actually have a designer comment. I'm going to read this. It says Kyle has relatively high damage output within a single cycle. However, due to the nature of his skill mechanics, valuable build options are extremely limited. As a result, his sustained damage potential remains structurally low compared to other descendants. We would appreciate it if this balance adjusted to understand it as a predatory step towards addressing the issue. With this patch, Kyle's base damage has been slightly reduced, but his damage now increased by approximately 0.4% per 100 shield, up to a maximum of 88.4% as a result. Even with a basic module setup, an overall damage increase of more than 5% compared to previous values can be expected. The goal of this change is to make additional damage scaling through shield a meaningful option worth considering when configuring ultimate or ancestor modules. They said they will continue to closely monitor Kyle's performance after the patch and through ongoing evaluation. Strive to make him an even more compelling descendant in future improvement phases. Um, I like how they do that. They're giving now designer comments about the descendant rebalancing. I like how TFD does this. How they're really out there and communicative with their player base. They reduced the damage of all his skills by about 30%. However, skill damage increases by up to 88.4% in proportion to max shield. Transcendent Module Superconductive Bombing Mark II increased the fire rate of bombardment by about 50%. We also have Glay and Ultimate Glay, a designer comment. First, I would like to sincerely apologize for disparity between Glaze update specifications revealed in today's patch notes and then version demonstrating during the dev live. During the final stage of the balancing test prior to the update, we identified that Glaze was exhibiting overpowered performance. As a result, we made adjustments to some of the values that have been shown during the dev live. Based on our internal evaluation, Glaze demonstration performance exceeding our expectation with notably high substantial and ease of use. use. We also found that she outperformed other Chill Descendants in Infernal Walker, challenged difficulty, and delivered overwhelming strong results in Wall Crasher as well. Although these specifications has already been publicly shared, we ultimately decide that they adjust where necessary in consideration of overall game balance and proceed with the changes. The dev team fully recognizes and deeply appreciates the strong interest and effect that Descendants have shown towards Glay, and for performance is still considered to fall short of the expectations following this update. We will continue to make improvements and refine her design through the patch schedule for next week and the following week. With that being said, basically Glay was overpowered and they was like, yo, we got to tone her down, because again, we have to sit there and understand that Glay's ability is really strong. All you need for this character is a bunch of health mods, a bunch of duration, and like minimal cooldown. She already comes with a lot of duration already for her base character, okay? And if you put on a couple of mods, grab an ancestor mod, throw it on her, she becomes the most powerful thing of all time. She makes rocket launchers infinite ammo. Think about that. Patch updates. She got a decrease on life spear. From max spawn rate for life spears was 1,000. Now it's decreased to 10. Power of life acquired increased from 1 to 3. HP cost is now 10%, nerfed down to 5%. Explosive attack increased by 50 to 80%. Increased the penetration from 51 to 81. Decreased the incoming recovery by from 50 to 20 percent, and decreased the incoming damage from 10 to 5%. For her life siphon, excuse me, increased the power of life cost from 3 to 20. Skill effect range from 6.6 in a 6-point meter radius to 12-point meter radius. Expandable range has been nerfed down to 300 to 200. Health recovery was now max HP enemy per hit from 5% HP to 10% HP per hit. For her increased sensory, lowered down the HP cost from 5% to 2%. Maximum lethality, increased the duration from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. And it seems like that's about it. I'm not gonna read all this. I will have this because it is a lot to read, so I will move on from this and I'll put a link into the description so you guys can go read it yourself, and then we will move on from there. And decrease the synchronization value. Okay, so I'm going to explain this. Synchronization value basically was implemented into the game when ancestors were brought into the game. Basically, the higher your synchronization value is, correlates to your level of ancestor module you will get. So have you noticed, being at master rank 30 to like 25, have you noticed that when you have high synchronization value, they give you lower rank ancestors? That's because they would like to keep a balance in between. Ancestor modules basically make your character as strong as possible, okay? But there's a limit. You already have your modules, then you have a additional module with 1, 2, 3, 4 skill sets, making that character as strong as possible. So basically, to simplify it, the higher your synchronization value is, the lower rank of your ancestors you will get. The lower your synchronization value is, the higher ranking ancestors you'll get. They did that and they explained it because I think they explained that in the one of the dev lives that they did, or I think one of the patch notes that I did. But basically, they have it so where your character isn't too overpowered. So you don't want your character, beating everybody. Make the character as balanced as possible. With the synchronization value for Lepic, it was 1,000. Now it's 1.208 for Glade. For her synchronization value, it was nerfed from 1.213 to 0.858. For Kyle, it was increased from 0.424 to 756. For Luna, her synchronization value is now increased from 461 to 0.614. For Haley, 0.48 increased to 0.645. And from Nell, increased from 0.744 to 0.925. Sigma sector, they added in some new rewards. Basically, upon completing a high risk difficulty mission, Daya's blueprints will be in there. It is a 10% for broken boundary and isolated desert. For broken boundary, it is they have her enhanced cell blueprints and her code in there. For isolated desert, they have Daya stabilizer blueprint, spiral catalyst blueprint, and stuff like that. For her transcendent modules, it's a 5% accusation drop. In broken boundary, they have bloom and ecstasy, which is the mobbing one, and isolated desert. They have chill brand, which is the bossing one. We also have inversion reinforcement, inversion reinforcement perks. We have spatial dominance. When defeating an enemy, grants spatial dominance. Spatial dominance increases the skill effect range by plus 2.4% up to 30 seconds, up to 5 stacks. Arcane amplification. On hitting an enemy with a skill, grants arcane amplification. Increase the skill power from 1.8% for 30 seconds up to 5 stacks. Emergency shield augmentation. When shield is 30% or lower, grants emergency shield augmentation. Emergency shield augmentation recovers shield by 8% of max shield per second for 4 seconds for a 30-second cooldown. Enhanced regeneration. When obtaining health orbs, recover HP by 13.5% of max HP. When obtaining MP orbs, recover MP by 10.5% of max MP. Blade trajectory correction. On melee weapon hit, grants blade trajectory correction. Trajectory, melee weapon attack plus 2.6% for 15 seconds up to 10 stacks. It removes the perk when changing weapons. Typhoon Accelerator. When using the Eye of the Typhoon in Typhoon mode, grants Spread Typhoon. Spread Typhoon Eye of the Storm amplifies targets plus 2 while using the Eye of the Typhoon in Storm mode. Grants Condescended Lightning. Condescended Lightning fires firearm attack increased by plus 10.5%. Changing weapon removes Spread Typhoon and Condensed Lightning. Entropy Enlightenment. When using the E-Buster, grants Probability Re-Enlightenment. Probability Re-Enlightenment increases the E-Buster's energy rounds gains plus 15 while using the E-Buster. Hits with the energy rounds grant multi-entropy. Multi-hit damage is increased by 2%, for 10 seconds up to 10 stacks. It is removed by changing weapons. The perk is removed by changing weapons. Specialized Coolant Circularization. When playing as a Descendant Daya using a clash skill, grants specialized coolant emission. Specialized coolant emission skill effects plus 15.9% for 15 seconds. While playing as Descendant Dia, each skill hit has a 50% chance to grant specialization coolant application. Specialization coolant application increases the skill critical hit damage by plus 6.8% for 15 seconds up to 5 stacks. It's not really new, it's just kind of like a cycle. They're changing out the Deathstalker boss for the Abyss Challenge for Infernal Walker, so that will be good. Oh, we also have a unique ability change for the Hammer and Anvil. With the unique change, Kuiper shells now deal additional damage when all rounds hit a single target. When Gyrojet explosives rounds detonate in midair, guided explosive rounds are fired from the detonation point. The guided explosive rounds are fired and detonated in number proportional to the shell capacity and trigger a multi-hit. The damage of the guided explosive rounds increases within the number of targets hit, with the explosive hits multiple targets. The Clairvoyance, hitting an enemy with a stage 3 beam inflicts void gaze on the target. At max stacks of void gaze inflicts appalled calling and chasm. Appalled calling works the same as frostbite. Chasm reduces chill resistance. Hitting a target inflicted with Chasm with a stage 3 beam stacks Frozen Spear. At max stats of Frozen Spear, the next firearm shot fires a Frozen Spear. Frozen Spear deals additional damage to the enemies inflicted with Chasm. Frozen Spears do not apply critical hit, but instead implies multi-hit. For the beam rifles, reloading no longer resets the beam rifle's charge level. Adjusted the charging speed to increase with the increased fire rate. Increase the duration of stage 3 beam's charge time and increase the charge decay rate when not firing. And the rest of this is just other things in the game that we do not need to go over, that you guys can read among yourselves or at your leisure. Include today's video. There was a lot of things that we had read over. That was really interesting, to be honest. That's why I was kind of like, as I was reading, like kind of like messing up over words, because it's like when they're so thought out and I don't know what they're gonna bring in next. It's like it's so well thought out, like with this game. It's like when they're sitting down like thinking of this stuff, they're like, all right, cool, we gotta add in that, we gotta add in this. It's like it's so much thought, and I'm glad they put so much thought in, because like I remember watching a lot of videos where people was like, oh no, this game isn't like all that and stuff like that. I'm like, they've made like some really great and awesome improvements to this game, and I have to give it to them. Like they've went all out with this game. But I'm not going to waste any of your time. But if you guys like the video and would like to see more, like I said in the beginning of the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and share. Give me your thoughts about this season, and I'll give you my thoughts about this season. I think if you're watching this video, it should be released tomorrow, because it is like 6 in the morning and I was gonna go to bed, but I was like, why not? Let's go ahead and post patch notes. But anyway, enough yapping. Like, share, comment, post, do whatever. Share with your boys, homies, homegirls, whatever. And I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces.